Hello, Ontario teachers. Thank you very much for joining us at the end of your day to learn about STEMterprise. I'm Lindsay Elgersma. I'm an education consultant for Good in Every Grain. We also have with us today Emma, and she is our grains educator. And between the two of us, we're responsible for the development and the delivery of resources that help classroom teachers teach students where their food comes from and engage them in the core curriculum learning using real life examples from agriculture and food. So we're really excited to be able to present this content to you. We're going to take just 15 minutes to walk through the STEMterprise project. Now, many of you will be receiving the seed kits very soon. We hope to be shipping them out in the next couple of weeks. So you will have all of the materials you need for planting as it relates to springtime planting. So that will be delivered to you soon. But we want to equip you with the information that you could use now to get started with the STEMterprise project. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So we will cover just basically best practices. I want to share some of the tips and the stories that we've gleaned from teachers across Ontario who've already been doing this project with their students last year and this year. We've learned a lot. Teachers have shared a lot of things that they love and areas to improve. And so we want to share those stories and that experience with you. So we'll start with what is STEMterprise? Well, really it's a cross-curricular program that gives students the opportunity to become entrepreneurs where they get to develop their own granola bar business really from the ground up. It's a project that guides students through the process of setting up their business. So they get to do everything from the dreaming up of what the business is to planting oat and soybean seeds and learning all about what plants need to grow and to thrive. They'll learn about soils. They'll develop business plans and marketing plans. They'll learn about pricing. So there's great math connections there. They'll learn about innovation in agriculture, so a lot of STEM connections, and there's just a lot more. It's a very cross-curricular project. The project that we're going through today has been developed for grade 3 students, so we've been working to connect it very closely to the grade 3 curriculum, but we do know that it's being used by a range of grades. When we talk with educators who have already been using this project with students, we hear a lot of appreciation for that it's free. We know that teachers spend a lot of their own resources to find materials and supplies for students. So it's free and that it's simple to use. All the materials are there for you, ready to be downloaded and edited and made to work for your classroom. And we know that every classroom is different. And so we have designed it with that in mind. The project is broken up into 7 stages, and each of the stages has a very clear purpose. We've really created bookends. So stage 1 and 7, where they get to learn about entrepreneurship and where they get to showcase their business, are kind of those 2 bookends. But within the middle stages, we've packed a lot of content around plants and soils, around audience, and just a wealth of resources. So those really tight units around plants and soils are found in the middle. As far as the teaching resources, so we offer the free seed kits. That's a huge bonus, and they'll be arriving to you shortly. But we also provide all the slides, the lesson plans, the activity sheets. Those all can be downloaded as well. I wanted to just mention that the seed kits are very relevant for stages 3 and 4 about plants and soils. But many of the other stages can be done without the seed kits in advance, so you don't need to wait for the kits to arrive to start. A little bit of additional information. So on timing, there really is no right time to roll this out in your classroom. Teachers are doing it now to start off and kick off term 2. We have other teachers that will hold it and use it as a springtime project or kind of a year-end project. Each lesson is designed to be taught in 40 minutes to an hour, and you can reorganize the stages and the lessons however you like. Some schools will teach the lessons once per week, and others will do a project in a more condensed time frame. So the timing is really up to you, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the presentation later on. Secondly, we have made an opportunity for you and your students to visit with a farmer. We've done it in the past, and we're expecting to be able to pull it off again this year. We typically do it in the spring, and we offer these virtual sessions to classrooms. Now we have a limited number. They will be emailed. This opportunity will be emailed to you probably sometime in March or April. And so we do recommend that if you're interested in this option, is kind of additional, but if you're interested in it, that you sign up for it and take advantage of it. And we've actually had some farmers that have been able to take students kind of in their fields or on their tractors virtually. So it's a nice way to connect students to the content that they're learning. And then the last point I want to make is that we are just about ready to launch all of the French resources for core French teachers and immersion classes. That is a big feat, and it's something that I think is really needed. Teachers are always looking for good resources, especially French immersion teachers. So we just want to share with you that it's coming very soon, and we should have it up on our website in the next couple of weeks. We also are providing assessment tools, and we will be posting those online in sometime later this spring. So what are educators telling us? We have piloted this with more than 20 classrooms across Ontario, which meant that we followed very closely these 20 classrooms. We know that many more classrooms have done the project, but these classrooms invited us in to follow and work with them very closely. And so they have shared some of their stories and even what it is that their students were working on. And so I just want to take a second to give you just a little teaser of what that might look like. So that was Crystal Dillon. She's from Ottawa, and this is Nadine from Waterloo.
I can't hear. Is there volume on this video?
Oh, shoot. It's not working.
I was just thinking the same thing.
I'm glad you said something. No worries. There is volume. I could hear it, but you couldn't. So what I will just suggest is that here is a link to the full video. It's only 3 minutes long. And okay. I would suggest just watch it. It's probably the quickest way that you're going to get a really good flavor for the project in your classroom. Thanks for jumping in and letting me know that's not working. Okay, so we'll talk about curricular connections. One of the things that teachers are saying most consistently is how much they value this project because it's very cross-curricular. So we have really looked in depth and made sure to support the science and technology curriculum, specifically in stages 3 and 4, so around life systems and the earth and space systems, but it's so much broader than that. So as far as mathematics, the project offers learning opportunities around collecting and analyzing data, making predictions, solving problems, financial literacy, working with money. There's a lot more in there, but those are some of the things that jump out at me. Around health and physical education, there's connections to local foods, healthy eating choices, food origins, nutritional value, environmental impact is a big component of it, making healthy food choices around living locally and talking about cultural food differences. So that is a component as well. Even social studies connections, there's connections to living and working in Ontario, where we talk specifically also about regions within Ontario. Lots of connections through language, even visual arts. So it's very cross-curricular, and teachers over and over again tell us how much they appreciate that. As far as transferable skills, this is highlighted and focused on more in some school boards than others, but I would just want to highlight that it definitely supports the development of these transferable skills. And if you would like to learn more about how it does that, you could download the curriculum document on our website and we go into more detail. So how does the project work? So this is a really quick overview of the project, and you're going to notice that it's broken into 7 stages, stages 1 through 7. each have a variety of lessons, between 1 and 6 lessons, and the stages and lessons were placed in an order that seems to work for a lot of educators. But that said, working with so many classrooms, I can see that teachers are doing a really great job of grabbing this content and rearranging it in a way that works for them and their students. So just a couple of examples. We have teachers that will do this just as a spring project. They might start with stages 3 or 4 around plants and soils because they want to actually plant the soybean and oat seeds and give them a chance to grow, and then they'll kind of work through the others. I see a lot of teachers who will start this off in February at the beginning of term 2, and they will probably walk it through more similarly to this. We have some classrooms where they maybe have already covered soils, and so they just want to use the content here as a review, and they might kind of pick some of the lessons. So this is yours to make with it what makes sense for you in your classroom. This slide here really talks about the materials that we provide. So for every lesson, we've provided a slide deck, and the slide deck is very consistent. Oops, sorry about that. It's very consistent in the structure. So you will notice that there's learning goals, then there's minds on, then there's the lesson content itself, and then towards the end, the action or the activity, and then a wrap up or check in at the end. So it follows a very consistent flow so that we all know what to expect and how to roll that lesson out. Every lesson has lesson plans. Another thing that teachers talk about appreciating is within those lesson plans, we have speaking notes for teachers. So maybe there's an area of the content that you're not super comfortable with. Maybe it's technology and agriculture. That kind of makes you feel a bit overwhelmed. We've provided the speaking notes and some background resources for where you could learn more. So it's all there, and you don't need to be concerned about not being an expert on all of these topics. So that's there. And then wherever there's an activity sheet or worksheet required, we've made sure to provide that as well. And I do also want to just note that the slide decks themselves are all editable. So we have definitely seen teachers rearrange the order of the slides, take out some slides, add other content, maybe change the language if there's a specific term that you're using that is different than what we've used. So it's all editable. We've tried to do most of the work for you, but you can make tweaks however you need to. Baking. Teachers often ask me, is baking required? Because that can feel overwhelming. Some teachers love it and are excited to be able to do that with their students, and other schools or classrooms that just feels a bit big. So I will tell you, it is completely optional. A lot of classrooms choose to do it in the end, and it's really fun. Teachers have found really great ways to do it, so it's not overwhelming. It's very controlled. It's not the chaos you might be thinking about. And we do recommend a no-bake recipe, so having access to an oven isn't even a requirement. So within this project, we've gone into some detail about how you can approach this, but I'm always here. I'm happy to help and to share any information that could help you. Just a quick couple of frequently asked questions. So can this be done in a split class? Definitely. And I've provided some details on how that seems to work really well. Estimated cost, it ranges, and it just is related to the food that you might need. So if you decide to do the taste testing, it's a couple boxes of granola bars. If you decide to do the baking, either it's supplies for maybe 6 batches of granola bars, or if you do it with one recipe that the class has voted on at the front of the class, it's only the supplies for 1 batch of granola bars. And given that oats are a really big component of that, we don't find that the cost is too high. Best time to start the project, I already mentioned that, and I'll go into more detail, but either February is a really good time or spring is a really good time. If you're not able to work with food in your school, no problem. You can skip those lessons if you need to. And then do you need to bake the granola bars? No. We've talked about that. You can actually use a no bake or just skip that altogether. I've provided 3 schedules. Teachers have asked for some sample schedules that they can use and modify as they need. So here are some sample schedules, and you will get access to the slides so you can go through them in detail and see what works best for you. And then we're just coming to an end. So tips for getting started. I would first review the project, take some time to look at the resources online. Then I would decide on your project timeline, and you can start perhaps with the ones that I've provided and modify them. You will want to think about how you want to wrap the project up with your students, because that will impact how they should organize their work. Collect your materials. We've made it easy because we're sending you the seed kit, but there's just a couple of other things you want to do. Very simple, and then get started. So a few steps. Here is some more information to learn more. So all of the links for STEMterprise are on the right there. I will just note that Emma, who we have on the phone here with us, our grains educator, is happy to answer any specific questions that you have if you want to email her or call her. And then I will point you to our education blog. We have been very busy populating it with content about all sorts of things related to education and agriculture. And there are tons of lesson plans and activities there. So just take a look, and I've provided the link. Last thing I'll mention is that we do have a Grains on the Go trailer. It's really kind of the bridge between the classroom and the farm. We get lots of requests for, can our students visit a farm? And we know that's sometimes difficult to do. This is that bridge. We bring the trailer to your school parking lot. We do a lesson that either is selected or designed in a collaboration with the classroom teacher. So it's very tailored for your class. We are currently booked up for the spring, but we will be announcing when the booking will reopen for next year. So don't miss it. Sign up for the newsletter. We have a limited number of spots, so just make sure to sign that up so that you're aware of it. And we are giving priority to grade 3 classrooms at the moment. I think that's it. So I would say happy teaching. Thank you for spending time with me this afternoon.